The story follows a jobless recluse, reincarnated in a magical world to lead a decent life he has never had. A hopeless and jobless Japanese man who was killed by a truck enters a world of imagination and reincarnates as Rudeus, the son of the swordsman Greyrat and his healer wife Zenith. Rudeus rapidly picks up the skill of reading and eventually begins using magic while still holding onto the memories of his prior existence. Rudeus' parents hire the explorer Roxy Magurdia to teach him magic after noticing his aptitude. Due to his young age, Roxy has some reservations about teaching him until she sees his special ability to cast magic instantaneously and understands his potential. Rudeus makes a commitment to work hard to better himself and make the most of the second chance granted to him to live a happy and fulfilling life while the Greyrat family throws Roxy a welcoming party. Rudeus thinks back to a time when he was slain while trying to save some teens after being kicked out of his house and being hit by a truck. Up to the day of his 5th birthday party, he trains in magic with Roxy for the following months. At that point, Roxy says she has finished teaching him and will hold his graduation ceremony. The following day, Roxy joins Rudeus as he makes his first trip outside of his house. He becomes upset about the past trauma of being severely bullied by his classmates in school, which caused him to withdraw from society. However, he eventually gains perspective after seeing how Roxy managed to blend in with the villagers despite all the prejudice she typically faces because of her foreign characteristics. Rudeus succeeds in causing a severe thunderstorm during the test, and Roxy announces that he passed. Rudeus expresses his gratitude to Roxy before she departs to continue her journey. After Roxy helped him overcome his anxiety of leaving his house, Rudeus began playing outside by himself until saving a half-elf child named Sylph from a gang of bullies. Rudeus and Sylph become friends, and Sylph begins studying magic alongside him. Rudeus brings Sylph home during a storm 6 months later, and after forcibly removing her clothes so that they may have a bath, he learns that she is actually a girl and that her full name is Sylphiette. Rudeus is disappointed when Sylphiette begins to ignore him despite his attempts to make amends. Rudeus is resolved to appreciate Sylphiette, the only true friend he has made in his new life, when she approaches him later and the two of them reconcile. When the Greyrat family learns that Zenith is once more expecting, they are overjoyed. However, their joy is short-lived when their housekeeper Lilia announces that she is also expecting after having an affair with Paul. Despite knowing that she was the one who seduced him, Rudeus persuades his mother to pardon Lilia in order to save her from Zenith's wrath. In return, Lilia thanks him and remains devoted to him. Rudeus considers going to attend the Ronoa Magic Academy after receiving a letter from Roxy, but Sylphiette does not want to leave him, so he decides to hunt for a job to help pay for their tuition. Zenith and Lilia give birth to 2 girls, named Norn and Aisha, respectively. However, seeing that Rudeus' devotion to Sylphiette is impeding his development, his parents make the decision to separate them by giving their kid to Ghislaine, a longtime family friend who leaves the hamlet with him. Ghislaine reads a letter from Paul to Rudeus as he is being taken away, in which Paul informs him that he has found him a tutoring job to help pay for his and Sylphiette's education. However, because Paul believes that Rudeus's attachment to Sylphiette is impeding his development, he forbids him from going back to his home or seeing her for the next 5 years. Rudeus is assigned to teach Philip Boreas Greyrat's daughter Eris after meeting the man who would be his employer, the mayor of the city of Roa, and his father's cousin. Eris, however, displays animosity for Rudeus after he is introduced to her. Rudeus comes up with a strategy to win Eris' trust by faking their captivity with her father's approval because he is confident that she will not pay him any attention at all. Eris gets captured along with Rudeus, and after gaining her cooperation, he utilizes his skills to help them both escape from their captors. Rudeus learns that one of Philip's slaves is collaborating with the kidnappers and that their captivity was real when he returns to Roa. Until Ghislaine arrives to save them, kills the bandits, and captures the servant, Rudeus battles them to defend Eris. After they get back home, Eris hires Rudeus as her tutor and lets him move in with her. Rudeus is thanked by Philip for defending Eris, and he is cautioned not to expose his connections to the Greyrat family to anybody else lest he come under attack once more. Since then, Rudeus has taught both Eris and Rudeus magic, literacy, and math, while Ghislaine has taught them both swordsmanship. Eris regularly leaves class early out of boredom, but Rudeus decides to give her one day off each week to cheer her on. Eris tries to purchase Rudeus a costly book while they are out for a stroll, but he declines, saying that she can't buy gifts for other people without having her own money and suggesting that her father give her an allowance. Rudeus finds himself in a bind when Eris gives him a vial he had previously been interested in with her allowance because he's afraid to tell her and Ghislaine that it's actually an aphrodisiac. With the 10th birthday celebration for Eris drawing near, Rudeus gives her dance instructor permission to take some time away from his schedule so that she can get better, while he uses the extra time to pick up new languages. Even yet, Eris' dancing skills barely improve, and she considers giving up. Rudeus, though, urges her to keep going and begins assisting with her classes. Eris barely improves her dancing at all, and on the day of the celebration, she fails to dance with another noble. In contrast, Rudeus gains proficiency in other languages with the assistance of Ghislaine and Roxy. Eris is successfully led into a dance by Rudeus after he gives her instructions on how to combine some of her fighting techniques into her movements. After the celebration, Rudeus runs into Soros, Eris' grandfather, who notices a weird ball of light in the sky and worries it might be a bad omen. 2 years later, Rudeus is given a birthday celebration by Eris and her family. At first, Rudeus is disappointed that his own family was unable to attend owing to the rise in monster activity across the nation. Rudeus is presented with a top-quality magic staff and Philip expresses his will to have Rudeus marry Eris and become his successor, but Rudeus rejects the offer. Rudeus is shocked to find Eris waiting in his room later that evening. After that, he tries to kiss her, but she pushes him away. Rudeus apologizes to Eris for his error, and she accepts his forgiveness. A few days later, a massive mana cloud appears in the sky, prompting the legendary hero Perugius Dola to dispatch his ally Almanfi to look into it. Rudeus was exercising with his new staff alongside Eris and Ghislaine. Almanfi confronts Rudeus because he thinks he might have anything to do with the cloud's emergence, but Ghislaine defends him and proves his innocence when a powerful burst of light envelopes them. Rudeus, who has taken on the appearance of his former self, has a brief contact with the mysterious human god, who advises him to depend on and assist the person who saved him. He then reawakens in his current body and discovers that he and Eris are lost on the demon continent. Rudyard Superdya, a member of the terrible Spurred species, saved them and makes a pact with them to accompany them back home. In a neighboring village, which also happens to be Roxy's hometown, Rudyard takes Rudeus and Eris to meet Roxy's parents. During their stay, Rudeus learns from Rudyard that the cursed spears his tribe received from the demon god Lapis, which turned them into mindless killers, are to blame for their bad reputation. He also learns that the spear in his possession belonged to his son, whose death at his hands helped Rudeus regain his senses. Rudeus is moved by Rudyard's resolve to clear the name of his people, and the two leave the village with Eris to start their return trip. Arriving in the city of Rikarisu are Rudeus, Eris, and Rudyard. Rudeus paints Rudyard's hair and makes him pose as a member of the Magurdia tribe so that he can approach the city unimpeded. The three form an official group of explorers, but due to their inexperience, they are unable to accept assignments that pay well enough for them to survive. Rudeus agrees to a journey to find a missing pet on the advice of the human god, which leads them to another group of intrepid people who steal animals in order to collect the reward for finding them. After the kidnappers are defeated, Rudeus tries to question them but is struck by one of them, forcing Rudeus to shoot him dead right away. Rudeus receives a rebuke from Rudeus and is forbidden from murdering unless it is in self-defense. Rudeus and company can accept more lucrative tasks and boost the image of their own party by taking advantage of the kidnapper's higher rank. After Fatoa experienced a mana surge, Roxy starts to look for updates about Rudeus and his family. All of the Greyrat family members are missing, with the exception of Paul and Norn. Rudeus' team searches for a mystery beast in the middle of a forest in order to complete a quest. They come upon two more groups that are also looking for the monster. Rudeus chooses to wait before striking when one of the parties is assaulted by monsters, which results in the death of one of the adventurers. Before being slain by Rudeus and company, the monster they're seeking for attacks and kills the other group. A different traveler approaches Rudeus at Rikarasu after learning about his scheme and making an effort to blackmail him. Rudeus ditches his disguise, revealing himself as a Superd, and threatens to kill the intrepid traveler should he divulge their secret after being moved by Rudeus' determination to protect Eris. Rudeus and Rudeus make up when Rudeus leaves the city. Rudeus continues to journey with Eris and Rudeus all the way to a seaside city on the Demon Continent, completely ignorant that Roxy is also making her way to the continent to hunt for him, accompanied by two of Paul's former traveling companions. Thank you for watching the recap of Jobless Reincarnation Season 1 Part 1.